Hey everyone, welcome to the very first session of Pillow Talk Self-Therapy, where we'll explore our daily challenges from very unique perspectives of the inner child and shadow self. We will look into specific issue within 2 weeks. The first week we will be looking into this problem from the perspective of the inner child, like today, and the other week we will be looking into the same issue but from the perspective of our shadow self. It's about bringing the awareness to this aspect of our psyche so we can better navigate the challenges that we face in our daily lives. Why did I choose these two specific archetypes? So our inner child holds our emotions, old memories, and unmet needs from our early years that influence our daily life right now as an adult. And by understanding and nurturing this part of ourselves, we can gain clarity and better understanding of who we are and why we are reacting in this specific way. Similarly, the shadow work, it's like part of us that denies or suppresses emotions or emotional response that we have, and we try to avoid them. But by looking closer into what's happening with our shadow part of us, it's like taking a deep breath and then just have this huge relief that, oh, okay, it's there, I know, I face it, and now let's move on. So today's topic that I have decided to talk on is that transition in the workplace. It's about not just only maybe going and starting your own business, it's also related to people who are trying to change their workplace or their careers, or they want to be promoted, but they're not so sure how, what, and where to start, or the people who are just looking for their job and they can't find the right for them, or they don't have the answers like which one will suit me better. That's exactly for you. Why this specific topic? It's something that I'm going through right now as well. I'm transitioning. A little bit backup story. So I moved to South Korea around 6 years ago because I met my husband, we got married, and after 3 months we registered our marriage. I got pregnant, and at that time I was 23 years old. So I was planning to go and study more. My major will be psychology. So I was like, okay, I need to study more. I need to conquer this world. And when I came, the first struggle, let's say like this, that I met with was that like people don't do consulting and like psychological therapy in here at all. They would rather go to psychiatrists. I would not go to any kind of psychiatrist at all. So I was like, okay, so what do we do? So I still had some of my clients online, but because of the time difference, it was really hard to keep up with the schedule that I had. And plus I started new life. I was preparing to become a mom. I was more concentrating on this role of becoming a mom, and it's my first child, so like, what do I do? And I'm in unknown territory. I'm in a known country with different cultural traditions and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, so what do I do? So for sure, as I said, I did have my clients, but that was not enough, especially for the new couple. We needed finance, especially, to raise a baby. So I have decided to start teaching English because it's like, I think most of the foreigners who come to Korea, that's what they do. So I juggled with 2 jobs. So I had my clients in the countries where I have my license, but because of the time difference, I didn't have much, and I was working as an English teacher. Then I had my baby, I had a maternity leave for I think 1.5 years, and I didn't work. I just spent time with my baby, and I studied. So I have to tell you that, starting from the year of 2011 till now, I'm still in the process of studying. New certificates, new diplomas, it doesn't matter what, I need to know more about what's happening in the psychological world. So yeah, I'm fanatic, maybe, like, I'm like a little bit crazy about it, so I love it. In the span of 5 years, I was preparing to become a mom. I was a mom, I'm still mom, and I juggled with 2 jobs, and finally, so my baby's 5 years old right now. After 5 years, I have decided, okay, Polly, let's do that. And I opened the business in South Korea. Still, I have some quite unresolved, or like, it's not unresolved, it's just like issues that I'm facing with because I'm a foreigner who decided to open business abroad. But I'm in a journey, so I can relate with you in this topic, well, like 100%. So we're gonna be looking into this specific topic. And what else I think I need to tell before we will dive into the main topic is that this is a kind of river flow motion sessions, because the only thing that I have prepared are the topics that are going to be talking about with you, because there are 11 of them, so I kind of don't want to remember 11 of them because I want to concentrate more about how we'll respond for these topics, and my response will be spontaneous. So I haven't prepared any specific response for you in advance, so it will be like a therapy or session where like you got a problem, you face it, and you give the response. Why that, like, as well, like self-therapy, because it's also will be like a self-therapy for me, because I also facing these similar issues, or I have already faced them, so that's why it's a self-therapy, because I have no script whatsoever to the answers of the specific topics that I have prepared for you guys. And the other thing, when you're working with the kid, inner kid, there are like, let's say 3 rules that we have to remember. Number 1, even though it's like your kid from years ago, it's still a kid. So the first thing that you truly have to remember about the kid is that the emotions that they have it super, like, in a blink of an eye. So 1 minute they can be super angry at you, and another minute they're hugging you, kissing you, loving you, and like, yeah, nothing happened. There is a downfall to it, is that we're not kids anymore, and if these emotions are coming to us, unfortunately, these emotions, they stuck if we don't work on them. But the other thing, as it's our inner kid's reaction and emotional response, it can go away as quickly as it came. Why? Because it's a kid, and if you talk with a kid in the right way, then it's not going to be an issue anymore. So we're going to the second rule. Second rule is, when you're trying to talk to your inner kid and to do a self-therapy with your inner kid, you'd better use the simplest, the easiest words you can come up. So the words like, let's go like even transition, or financial problems, something that kid wouldn't understand. So you have to simplify your vocab as much as you can, so your kind of brain would understand and implement these words more effectively to your inner kid inside, because it's still a part of you, and you want it, you don't want it, that's what it is. And the third part, it would be really just amazing for you just to keep in mind that sometimes the reactions that we have, and you're like, oh, I don't like, why did I react like this? Like, it's not me, and we're denying it. A lot of time, the response that we get from our inner child comes from not only us, but the habits that we inherited from our parents. So you have to keep in mind sometimes that, oh, in here, maybe I just have to work not only on my inner child, but maybe like my mom or dad persona, or like archetype that right now is ruling over. So let's dive into our transition and work topic from the inner child perspective. The first topic that I decided to talk about is fear of the unknown. Even kids, they do have this feeling of uncertainty, the feeling of loss of control, because they don't know what's happening. It's like the same thing as a kid would go to the school, the new school, and the new kid. They have to go, especially, for example, it's the first day at their school. Like, what do they do? What am I doing here? What people I'm gonna meet? What if I'm not gonna find a friend? What if my teacher will be like a monster? What do I do with that? So kids, they do have this uncertainty. And in workplace, same, you're coming to the new place, you're not sure what to expect. Even for me right now, I opened my business, even though like I kind of was in a similar business, because right now I'm working as a coach, so I can work worldwide, but it's still kind of an unknown territory for me. And it's like, ooh, okay, so amazing. What do I do, right? Because I have to work with different audience and stuff like that. So this is also a topic of zone of control. By the way, if you want to, feel free, take some notes, because I think maybe some really interesting or important topics that you might forget. Sometimes it's not only about if you knew about it or not, but you just forgot. But right now, it's a really important topic for you, and just to keep it in mind or work on it at this specific time of your life would be truly amazing. So when we're talking about fear of the unknown, it's specifically zone of control. You have to keep in mind that there are going to be stuff that is out of your control, and you are not just able to control them because it's not up to you. So keep in mind what you can control in a way and what you can't control. What is something that you can do and something that you can't do. And as well, for the feeling of unknown, so it as well, like I will be talking like with two kind of people right now. So for my adult self, I would remind myself that as long as I'm being honest with myself and with other people, who I am, what I'm doing, what I can do, people will see me, people will hear me, people will accept me for who I am. So not to forget who I am from the beginning. And the other thing, as I said, Polly, check in this specific topic, what can you control and what is out of your control, and don't spend your energy and time on something that you can't control and that is out of your reach. For my inner kid self, I would say, oh yeah, like a kid, I'm getting nervous, I need to touch something. So for my inner kid, I would say, when you're being honest with yourself, when you say the truth to other people, they will see you for who you are, no matter what. And if you bring this honesty and this you as a true you with you every single time, no matter where you go, this will be your biggest strength that you will ever find in this entire world. And when you have this strength as your shield, then there is nothing to be afraid of. So this is me using a little bit easier language to speak with the inner kid. So I really have to think, especially when you're talking with your inner kid, you really have to think about the words that you're using. No complicated, overboard words like trying to look cool. It's not about trying to be cool. It's about the inner kid hearing you out and you trying to also understand what inner kid trying to tell you. Let's move on. Number two, I decided to put together two things, is need of approval and external support. You might think like, approval, isn't it like a good thing? I would tell you like this. Approval is one thing and feedback is the other thing. When you're asking for the feedback, maybe yes. For the approval, not so sure. It's more about a kid did something and it comes to mommy, look at it. Look how amazing it is. Mommy, tell me how good I am. Look. So it's kind of being dependent on the other person's opinion, on another people's emotions and feelings towards what you have done and what you have not done, instead of believing in yourself and instead of being grateful and for what you have done. You're just trying to find some external support from outside. It's also not helping you in a way because you are not going to be able to grow and to have your own set of skills when you're constantly asking someone, what do I do? Am I good? Am I not good? I mean, if you know that you did your work, if you know that the result looks good, if you know that you spent an amount of time on this task and you truly was doing your best, then why would you need an approval from another person? Feedback, yes. Feedback is something that honestly I think is a really amazing thing to ask. In my case, I always, when I do something, my husband would be number one to whom I show everything. I ask, like, what is your opinion on that? What do you think? And the other would be my friends for sure, because like, it would be nice to know what they think about it. So I want to grow, I want to be better, but I still want to do it in my own way. So in here, to myself, to my adult self, I would say, you know that you're good enough. You know your skills, you know your powers, you know your strengths, you know your values, you know your norms. So by understanding them and by maybe empowering them or creating yourself a better version of who you are, of who you were yesterday, that would be totally enough, as long as you do you and you do the things that you're supposed to do in your workplace and or for your work. And for my inner kid, I would first, in here, it's like the time when like you hug yourself or like you hug your pillow and you're saying to yourself, I'm doing, like, to your inner kid as well, tell to yourself, I'm doing great, I'm amazing, as long as I do what I do and as long as I try my best, I know it's gonna pay off. I know I'm gonna shine, and I know I'm gonna be the best version of myself as long as I do what I do and I'm at my best. And just cuddle yourself and hug yourself and just give yourself space that you are enough and you are that amazing self that brought you to where you are right now. And also I think to the kid, remind that if you want to grow, you know the best what you need. You don't need advice, that much of advice from me or from another person. Listen to yourself, listen to your desires, listen to your feelings and emotions, and you will find the answer within. Okay. I think this start is good so far. So the other one is clinging to the past. You might think, what? Kids clinging to the past? Weren't you like just telling that kids, they kind of don't remember their emotions? Emotions, yes. But they still have this feeling of sadness in a way, or like lose of control in a way, when, for example, they had their favorite toy and so suddenly they have to like give it away or like trash it if mom said like, oh, we're just gonna get rid of it, and they don't want to because it's something that gave them incredible emotions and they were so excited when they were playing with it. Same goes to work. You might be like, oh, why would I even try to change my work? I'm okay with where I am, but this I'm okay, like, questionable. So to my inner self, adult self, I would say there is no growth in the past. If I truly want to be that best version of myself, if I want to achieve the goals that I set for myself, if I want to wake up in the morning and to be proud of what I do and how I do that, then maybe it's a time for me to change. And the only way for me to become better than I was yesterday is through the changes, through the work, through the actions, but different one, not the one that I had before. And in here I would also say, like, to remind yourself of those positive things that you have already done and that brought you to the point where you are at right now, and be grateful. Be grateful for that. Maybe write in your gratitude journal, or just even if you don't have one, just write on a piece of paper what are you so grateful about the work, the past work that you were doing. What was so amazing, what that work gave you, what skills, what opportunities, what people, everything that you can come up, what work did for you in these previous years. As for the inner kid, I think I would go with also explaining the understanding of growth. Being a kid is great, and this part will always be there with you. This joy, this playfulness, it always will be with you, it always will be there. But sometimes, in order for us to be who we are and to find who we are, because there will be times in our life when we still don't know who we are and what we want to do, in order to understand who we are, we need to grow. And I'm sure you will find the other skills, the other people, the other stuff that you will love as much as you loved your other thing. But if you truly want to be who you are, it's time to grow. Good. So let's move to the other one. Number 3. Oh, sorry, number 4. And here as well, sorry, I have decided to combine 2: imposter syndrome and fear of disappointment. Why did I put these 2 together? Because in some way they're kind of similar, because fear of disappointment is like to be afraid, especially if you're talking about the kids, it's afraid to be scolded or afraid of not being loved by the mother. But for us, like, oh, what if they're not gonna love me? What if like I will do something wrong? So imposter syndrome is quite close to the fear of disappointment, because it's the feeling of, or what if they're gonna find out? What if they're gonna find out that I'm not as good as they think I am? What if I'm not gonna meet their expectations? So it's kind of the same, like the fear that I'm gonna disappoint them and they're gonna find out who I really am. And like, what are you doing here, right? So to my adult self, I would remind that, come on, man, look at you. You got to the point of your life where you are at with everything what happened. And at this particular time in your life, you have learned a lot. You got a lot of skills. You got a lot of knowledge, not only like in your professional field, but also like in your life. So it's time to admit what skills and how amazing you are. And with understanding your strengths and skills will put you even to the higher place where you at right now. For the baby, I would say this is well like a moment like when you like need to take your comfy blanket and just hug yourself and like but yeah, for my inner kid, I would be like, as long as you're who you are, and as long as you're learning with vulnerability, with open eyes, with open heart, who you are, and as long as you are not afraid to do mistakes and to be bold, and as long as you're not afraid to learn from your mistakes, no one is gonna be stopping you, and you wouldn't need other people's opinion, or you even wouldn't care about how people look at you, because you know that you're good. You know the skills that you have. You know who you are. You know who you want to be, and when you know who you want to be and who you want to become, you are the only one who knows what to do and how to do. And no one knows you as good as you know. Even your own parents or friends, sometimes they don't know you as good as you know yourself. So listen to yourself, listen to the voice inside, and you will be the best version of yourself, no matter what other people might think. You are you. And that is the strength that no one can take from you. Nice, amazing. I think we're moving like in a good tempo. I'm concerned about the time, but I think that stuff that I'm saying like helpful for you. So next one is avoidance and procrastination. You might ask like, kids procrastinate? For sure, it's like the same. The kid like, oh mom, I don't want to do my homework, can I do it later? Most of the time, because like when the homework is super easy, like they will do it like in 5-10 minutes and just go play. But when the feeling that something that you have to deal with is hard and overwhelming and that truly needs to be done, that's exactly when this avoidance comes to place. Because like, oh, it's so hard and so overwhelming, I'm not sure that I can solve it, I'm not sure that I'm good enough to do this, and I don't think I have enough skills for that. In here, to my adult self, I would say, if you feel like you need a break, if your body feels like need a break, take this break and just let your body rest, let your mind rest, but also remind yourself that exactly in your weaknesses, because when people think that something is hard or overwhelming, they think that they can't deal with it because they don't have enough set of skills or set of knowledge to solve the problem. So in here, I would remind myself that actually the weaknesses in my life, they're my strengths. Be excited as well for the result that might be at the end of this journey. And for my inner kid, I would say that it's like a journey that sometimes the journey is so exciting and so easy. You're just driving by the car and you're looking around and you're having a blast. But sometimes there are some journeys that you have to go on foot or you have to ride a bike, and the road might be a little bit bumpy, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop. If you truly want to get from point A to point B, you keep going, and no matter how bumpy the road is, you will get there if you will keep walking and walking and walking. Nice. I like it. Okay. Next one is excitement mixed with anxiety. So you might ask, like, how do kids have this kind of feeling even? They're kids. Yeah, they do have. For example, they are like their parents buying them a new toy and they're like, oh, I'm so excited to have a new toy. But then in a few seconds they can have this vision, oh my goodness, I have to share this with my sister, brothers, or my friends. I don't want that. So that's when this mixture of feelings comes. Why have I decided to talk about it? Because for our brain is kind of conflict. You didn't give it that much of a time for your brain to be excited. For kids, it's like, oh, they're excited, then they have like this anxiety, but then they have this excitement again. For us, for adults, we can just like, oh, I found a job, oh yeah, I'm so excited. But then like, oh, but I have to do this and that in my job, and I have to find some, I don't know how to socialize with my colleagues. Oh, I don't know if my salary is that good. So this excitement goes down the hill when you actually should be truly living through the excitement at the moment, but you are not allowing yourself to be excited. So in here, especially for me as a psychologist, I would say like, this is like a full-blown conflict, especially for your mind, because it was like, weren't you just kind of excited and then but you feel anxious? So your brain should kind of deal with two emotions at once. And when there is a conflict in our body, that's exactly when we're getting sick, when we're getting some physical symptoms. So as it is a conflict inside you, for your adult self, I would say, for my adult self, I would say, Validate the emotions no matter what they are, but please remember what was the the first emotions that you had. So if you were excited but suddenly you feel anxious, give a moment for this anxiety. Give it a moment, validate it, see that, oh, I see you, I feel you, feel it as much as you can. And here I don't want to give you like specific tools because it's not a therapy, like therapy, but like give a space to this anxiety. Look where it will go, and I'm sure in few seconds, maybe in few minutes, it will go away as long as you give attention to this anxiety. Normally, a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, they say for actually the emotions to last, like normally emotion lasts like for, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds. So keep it in mind. So the emotions shouldn't, especially like if you're not vortexing yourself into the emotion, it will just last for 5 to 10 seconds. It's not going to last forever. You give time to your anxiety and then go back to the excitement and just like, yay! Yeah, I got a job. I'm so happy. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to meet new colleagues and put on this positive mode. To my inner kid, yeah, there's also the time to hug the kid, but also it's the time to say, I know you might be anxious. I allow you to be anxious. You're allowed to be anxious. Everything is fine. Everything will be fine. This anxiety will go away. It's not here with you forever. Try to remember, what was your first emotion? Wasn't it excitement? Excitement to be there, to meet new friends, to meet new people. Try to understand which emotion is more important for you right now. Accept it. Feel it. Nice. I love it. This is literally a little bit of like therapy right now. Okay, next one. Feeling of isolation. It's exactly when a new kid come into school and they're maybe different, or they may feel left out because no one wants to communicate with them. So for my inner self, adult self, I would say, you do know that you get a lot of strength and a lot of energy from being alone. Sometimes alone time, and sometimes being alone, being there alone with your own emotions and giving time for yourself and being there for yourself and even around other people actually gives you so much energy that you can't even imagine, because all our strength is within. And the other one is to remind yourself that, man, I'm still a social creature. Other way around, I will find people. I will find my people. There always will be someone who will be there for me, or I will find those people who will be willing to talk with me or work with me or like to do other stuff or help me out. So no worries, we're social creatures, and yeah, if I won't be one, I still have strengths in me, myself, and I. So that's okay. Everything is fine. For the kid, inner kid is a little bit might be a little bit in a way challenging because it's like a kid. So here as well, I would say to my inner kid, as long as you love yourself, as long as you know who you are, as long as you always give yourself credit for what you do, you will be okay. And with this honesty inside you, people will just, like magnet, will come to your life at the time when it's needed. There always will be time when maybe you still need to be alone, but for sure there will be time when the people will come and will be there for you. Love it, love it. Okay, we have 4 more to go, and the other one is number 8, impatience. This one is like, I think I came up with it because it's something that I still struggle a little bit with. It's a sense of time. Like in psychosomatic thyroid gland, it's exactly this sense of time. They're like, oh, what if there will be not enough time to do this and that? Yeah, so it's with this one I can relate. It reminds me like this donkey from Shrek. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Same with the kids. So you have to realize that the kids, they don't have sense of time at all. And as well, when we're talking with our inner child, we don't know how old, let's say, they are. At what time did this feeling of patience was the first time when they experienced it, right? So I have a kid, and I can say that at the age of 4 or 5, I think 6 as well, kids, they don't have a 100% understanding what time is. So right now, my kid is 5, almost 6, and I'm telling him like, oh, the autumn will come like in 2-3 weeks. And he's like, oh, is it long? Do I have to wait for a long time? I can say like, yeah, it's kind of a long time, but maybe not so, because like in 3 months will be winter. In 3 months will be winter. You're like, oh, 3 months? Is it a long time? Like, do I have to wait for a long time? And I'm trying to explain to him like 2 weeks is like you have to sleep like 14 nights, so it's approximately like this. So he still doesn't have this sense of time. So you really have to understand, especially if you're a really impatient person, that if you feel this feeling that you're like, oh, like when I will find a job, when I will find my clients, when will be my first project, my first big project that will show everyone what I can. So if you know that you're an impatient person and right now you're going through the transition in work, that's like just every day remind yourself that everything takes time. Everything takes time in your life, and there is nothing you can do about it. You can't run faster than the clock goes, right? So everything takes time, and we are moving in our own pace, like everything with a different speed, at a different, even in a different vehicle. Let's say like this, someone uses planes, someone uses cars, someone uses bicycles to get somewhere. So same goes to you, like realize what your vehicle is and realize how much time you need to get there where you want to be, and be realistic in here. Like time is a realistic thing that was created not just for us to know the time, but to be more realistic about what and how is happening. And for my inner kid, I would say, again, this is everyday reminding for your inner kid as well. Everything takes time. But as well, I think metaphor in here as an explanation for yourself would be really amazing, in a way that look at a tree, look at a flower. They're not growing over time. We don't have magic. We don't have any kind of amazing specimens that are gonna help them to grow in 2-3 days, right? So even tree, even flower, for them to bloom, for them to be as strong as the tree is, they need time. Good. Next one is, confusion about money. So this one is a little bit interesting. I don't think it's more like, it is like self-therapeutic one, but it's more like a reminder for you that in one point, especially when you're talking or dealing with money, you have to realize that there is part of you, of your inner kid, that you do have, that have no understanding whatsoever what financial aspect is. They don't know how to save money. They don't know how to manage money. Kids are people who have understanding of money, like you either have them or you don't have them. In here, it's more like a reminder for yourself that, again, everything takes time, and I would advise you to be more realistic about the money, more realistic of how they work, how they flow, to understand a little bit more the economics and what's happening in the world, what's happening with, I don't know, like when people are finding clients, they spend money like on marketing and stuff like this, right? The clients that are just popping out from the window or just from the thin air, right? Or like when you're transitioning at work, you have to realize that there should be like a safety pillar or a safety account, that if, for example, you will be an intern and no one is going to pay you for 3 months, so you have to know that you will have this money, like either, like, I don't know, your parents will be supporting you or your partner will be supporting you, but you have to be realistic about that. And it's not something you would work from the inner kid perspective, because that's exactly what kids don't understand that well. So in here, it's more if you feel like you're losing the sense of money in a way, that's when you'd rather educate yourself or also go to the specialist. Me as well, I'm working with family constellation to a little bit understand what was happening with your family, because sometimes the money thing, how we earn money, how we spend money, how we save money, it's actually not only our habits but our ancestors' habits. The other one is Peter Pan syndrome. It's when we're resisting the responsibilities that are coming our way, like, oh, we have to pay taxes, we have to go to work, we have to wake up earlier, we have maybe to cook for ourselves, we have to pay for the flat, whatever. Yeah, it's like avoiding the reality of adulthood. And this is, again, it's not something that you can put it in like self-therapy. It's more like an awareness for you that yeah, you have to take responsibility for your words, for your actions, for your emotions and behavior, no matter where you are. If you're at workplace, if you're just with your friends, taking responsibility is something that adults do. Yeah, it's something just bringing awareness, because it's not something, because I know what I would say to myself because it's me, but when I don't know you, I don't know what's your story, it's a little bit like going to the war zone, not knowing what's going to be happening in there, right? So just pay attention to it. Yeah, pay attention to it, but and keep it in mind, and just think about the responsibilities that you have right now as an adult, and what responsibilities you have right now when, I don't know, you open the business or you change your work, what responsibilities you do have. So like kind of write them down, or like number them if you need to. And another one, playfulness as defense mechanism. Why we can't kind of fully work on it, and why is it not a good thing? Like playfulness, what's good about it? Maybe it's good to be like playful. Not exactly, because you can also avoid responsibilities and maybe not to take the task seriously that is coming your way because you're being too playful. Oh, I know how to do that. And you're not maybe being that much detail orientated, because like, oh, why would I spend time on doing this and that, or understanding this? Oh, I know that. So this playfulness, but actually you're defending yourself from something. And in here, like, I don't know what exactly you're defending yourself with, exactly what is going that way. So it's something as well when you can see lightly your work of place, or the work that someone gave to you, or new role that you're taking over. And why do you have this defense mechanism as a playfulness? Oh, that's a good question. That is something you really truly need to work on, because this playfulness doesn't come from a thin air. There should be something with it. And sometimes defense mechanism that we have they're not actually ours. We're just taking someone's and like we're trying them on because we think they're going to work on us, but they actually don't work. And that's sometimes a little bit like might be a problem for a lot of people, because they're using someone else's defense mechanism and they're not walking in a way. So yeah, that's exactly where you need to change that. Okay, so we're finishing our session, and hopefully you realize how important it is to recognize those feelings that come in your way from your inner child perspective, and that it's actually a lot. I named 11, but there is more to it. I'm sure about it. We don't have that much time to go through all of them. Just by giving space and giving time for yourself to go through these emotional responses that your inner child bringing to you right now in your life, nurturing and understanding them will make your life so much easier. Maybe you will even get rid of anxiety that you had just because you understand yourself and what is happening with you much better. And honestly, just by giving yourself time is already a huge step to self-healing. Thank you very much for joining our first session, and hopefully you like it. If you resonated with some of the thoughts that I was talking about today, please share in the comments. And if you want to know what's happening with you when you're transitioning work from the perspective of the shadow self, subscribe and hit this bell button so you will not miss the next session. And please remember that self-awareness is the first step to healing, and see you next time.